Well, I know what that intro means. I know that it means that the VAC's back. We're live. It's me, Val. It's the dancing Nate. And, we said see you next time.
I'm back
This
with
is
fresh material.
This is the next time.
This is officially the next time. I've got some new material as well.
Yeah, go on.
I've brought some banana bread with me.
Okay.
I know it goes against everything you're supposed to do on a podcast. You've told me this many times. This is the
you
number
can't,
one
You
sin.
can't do it. Yeah, no, you can't do it.
But I feel like we're not reaching our audience. We're not doing something right.
Right.
So whatever we were doing before,
Okay.
I don't think it would harm it if we changed it up.
Okay.
So I think that rule doesn't apply personally.
You know, it's hard for me to question your judgment on this one because you almost have as much podcasting experience as I do at this point. I'm probably pipped you by 20 odd hours, but you're almost as experienced as me. This is why it's so hard for me to do this, but don't
I'm going to
do
keep
it.
it down to a dull raw.
Jesus Christ.
I think I can eat and you won't actually know it if I didn't say anything.
Yeah, it's not for me.
But what
It's
about all
not for
those
me.
ASMR people out there?
I think
I'm not going to be like licking it. This banana bread, I'm just going to be eating it like a civilized human being.
I've always supported you starting your own ASMR channel and eat your banana bread and lick your mic and do everything. Do all the things. Rub your little ear thing, ruffle the mic a little bit like they like to do. And if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, I'm sorry. But ASMR was this thing that popped off in the 2020s, early 2020s, mainly around COVID because people were sad and lonely and wanted support, basically. And these usually women, but men did it too. But the ladies would sit there and go, everything's just fine. Pat on the head, like pretend pat on the head of the camera. Everything's just fine. Everything's good. Everything's going fine. Here, let me just lick my mic for a bit and play with the little fuzzy thing.
I've got the ASMR king here. I've got Luffingham.
Yeah.
Yeah. I reckon he would actually make a lot of money on the ASMR.
That's
market.
exploitation, though. That's animal exploitation.
And he's just yawning. He's having a good time. He's looking at this banana bread like he wants a piece of it.
Give him it.
Maybe I should start a
special
channel.
episode. Oh,
Yeah.
It's called exploitation, but go for it, I guess.
I mean, he's having a good time.
That's what you think. I mean, if
Look
we
at
were
him,
in a
look at
position, I can. I can. I can. Yeah,
Tell
he's
me
having
this guy's not having a good time right now.
No, he could have a podcast. Absolutely, he could absolutely do it. No problem at all.
He has a great life. Sorry. Yeah.
But as someone who comes to this podcast from a different field, you come from it from a different angle. I come up from a certain angle. I'm a bit of a tech head. And I sort of know my way around a studio. But this is a pretty new thing for you, and we're not even in a studio. But this is a new thing.
No. I feel like in my home, I should be able to eat banana bread when and where I please.
Well, you can, but this isn't your home right now. This is the show.
If someone chimed in and had a problem with it,
right?
I would stop eating a banana bread.
But this is the vacuous perspective. This isn't Nate's life. We're not. Your life's not on show here. It's not your house. It's not your anything. It's a podcast. We talk shit.
I'm just trying to bring my authentic self to work every day.
Okay. I want you to talk to 5 podcasters and ask them if they think it's okay. All right. And if they all say no, I need you to take their advice, not mine. I mean, you're about to be a father. What are we going to do when Bub's having a bad time?
I don't know. I don't know at all.
I think we need to.
The wife will have to be employed.
I think we need to move the studio. I think we need to shift the studio because I think it needs to happen. We can get the infrastructure set up, but it just means time out of your day and my day, I guess. But it's the same for me.
I was a little bit late home from work, hence the banana bread fiesta.
Right. I mean, it's
I have one other thing. I have one other bone.
I mean, someone could say to me, mate, you need a banana. Like, you need to eat some banana bread before you do the podcast. Before the podcast, absolutely fine, by the way. During the podcast,
it's a little bit
it's a bit
unfair
of
of me to be eating banana bread in front of you like this as well. You might want some banana bread. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry to all the listeners who don't have banana bread.
I'm a nicotine addict, so you know, it probably, you know, I should apologize to you. Sometimes you see me having a bit of a puff, and you're probably going, "Fuck, I just want to kill that guy right now," because he has.
Not at all. Doesn't
But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. You've got your banana bread. I've got my things. We're all good. We're all doing our thing. Yeah. But this is the real me, except it's not my real name, and this isn't what I look like. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's funny how you were like, I'm just trying to be my authentic self, when you've got a fake name, and that's not what you look like, and we're on green screens. Like, there's nothing authentic about this. I'm going to put it out there. There's almost nothing, except for
I'm gonna tell a few lies sometimes.
Right.
You know? Like, I'm gonna tell some things that I would class as a joke. They might not always be 100% factual.
You might bring up someone else's gripe, but it's
joke.
just your gripe. You know, a bit of a hidden gripe. That's a good one. Louis C.K. was pretty famous for doing hidden gripes, because he had this bit about, he got on an aeroplane and they said, "Oh, we're really sorry, the Wi-Fi's not working," and the guy next to him just goes, "This is bullshit." And he's like, "This thing that you didn't even know existed 5 minutes ago isn't working, and it's the worst thing in the world. Let me just remind you, you're in a chair in the sky. Okay? That's what you're doing right now." And then he revealed years later, no, that was just me. That was me going, "This is bullshit." He put he put the blame to someone else so that he could really rip into them, which is actually him, which is what most stand-up comedy is anyway, just people ripping on themselves in one way or another.
Yeah, self-deprecating type.
It's a good way to go. It's a good way to go. I mean, the funniest thing about you is something you've never told anybody. Oh, yeah? I guarantee you. The funniest thing about you is something you've never said out loud. But here's the thing. If you do say it out loud, it'll just be funny. It won't.
I'll have to think about what that is.
It's not embarrassing. Like, I started telling the I shat the bed story, you know, a year after it happened. It didn't take me long to get over the embarrassment and turn it into a funny, because it's way funnier than it is embarrassing. It's way funnier.
I told you at the time I pissed in the bedroom.
Yeah, I've done that
quite recently.
Yeah. You just had a leak down at the end of the thing. You know, just
I just took a knee.
Don't interrupt me while I'm having a wee.
Yeah,
if you wouldn't mind, while I'm sleepwalking.
Hey, last time I was looking at the episode, had a quick look at it.
Did you?
I was sort of like halfway off the screen.
What, you like popping around?
Yeah, I was like, I'm not in the screen here. I'm almost being exited.
That's
screen left.
No, that's when you're dancing, you definitely fly around a bit. That's never going to be the case. I've actually just live shifted you a little bit, but you know, I'm just looking at lines. I set it up pretty quick. But what you'll notice is across the course of the next 10 episodes, Nate's going to slowly slide off the screen completely to where he's actually gone. And then we're going to have...
It'll just be you. And I'll be getting more and more muffled.
We're going to have an AI Nate pop in, because we've got enough data to make an AI version of Nate. So he'll be running the co-anchor for a little while, and I'll be having to talk to an AI, and it's awful.
That is actually a fantastic idea. Can we generate an AI version of an episode and put it in one day and see if anyone notices?
We've talked about doing this before. Because at one point, like with any business, the plan is to go hands off with it, right? Completely hands off with it, and just sort of count the money. I think that the AI us's talking to each other, would be fine. Would be fine. I don't think people would tell the difference at all.
Now, are we allowed to drop? You know, I think you were talking about the other week. You're listening to the football on the radio. And everything's a Bob Jane T-Mart scoreboard and a Kmart handball and whatnot.
It's all sponsored.
It's all sponsored. Can we start just dropping in sponsorships to show how good it would be if you did sponsor us?
Yeah, I guess you could. I mean...
Is there anything illegal
about saying that we're sponsored by someone if we're not?
No, not saying it. Just saying...
You're not going to say the next segment's sponsored by... the new Kia Rio.
No, I'm just going to say that was a great Kmart comment from my friend Val.
Right. And that was the Kmart comment of the day?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, where you have a Bunnings bonanza.
I think what you're
or
better off
something.
doing is getting AI to generate an entire website for a company that doesn't exist, and we will be sponsored by them.
That's a great. No, you're right. Okay,
And then we
that's
go,
it. We're
and then
gonna
we
do
go
that.
all in on the sponsorship. We say that they're doing this and they've funded this, and this
Yep,
episode.
NFTs.
This episode is brought to you by the lovely folks at insert company name here. It's a good.
That's
name
right.
for
We
a
won't
company.
tell anyone that we own or created that particular
The
business or
company.
website.
And I'm sure
Yeah.
the company would pop off. It'd probably be more popular than the show. We'd have to give up the show and keep the fake company going because the fake company's popping off.
Do you know this is exactly what Bunnings do?
Mm.
Okay, so Bunnings brands owned by Bunnings. So they advertise all these things. You know how they say, 10%, if you get it 10%, if you have the same product,
We'll beat it by
at another
10%.
store, we'll beat
We'll
it.
beat it, yeah,
a lot of them are Bunnings owned products that
That are
aren't
being
sold
supplied
elsewhere.
that aren't sold elsewhere.
Bunnings owned products that, as in, they're not called Bunnings. They'll be called like Trojan. It's a let me just get you some actual information here.
I heard something interesting today about Bunnings, actually. People are using the app now, and the store people direct you to use the app. Now, that's not a problem for people of the younger generation moving into the home ownership stage / home reno, buy a pot plant. But for people who are already old, who don't use the tech, it's going to be a real hurdle for them. But that was always the place you went, where the person in the nice overalls will tell you where any fucking thing in that store is. And that was the reason people liked that experience. They knew they could just go in there, wander around for a bit. If they get lost or they can't find what they're looking for, old mate's going to help them. Anyway, that was just a side point.
Yes. Okay. So we've got here Bunnings owns several house brands, including house brands is what I'm looking for. So when you go to
brands.
Woolies,
Yeah, and they've got the
and
home
they're
brand.
marketed as Woolworths though, so it's clear that they own that particular product. There might be other brands that Woolworths own, but anyway, there's always Woolworths branded things. Bunnings own Trojan Tools, Matador barbecues, Click electrical fittings, Saxon gardening products, Eager electrical, Mimosa, Jumbuck, Craft, right? These are all brands. Marquee, Mondella, and Happy Tales. They own them all. This is they need to make it clear that these are owned by Bunnings.
Don't you think this is a pretty standard practice for all of the big retailers, like your Woolies, like your BHWs? They're gonna buy companies or start creating products that they can store.
It's
and sell.
anti-competitive. They need to
I
be looked at.
completely
This
agree.
is where it comes from. Bunnings own over 65% of the market share. In they obviously overlap with lots of different. They've got gardening, they've got electrical, they've got a lot of different areas. Bunnings needs to have. They need to have a look at that. So Woolworths and Coles own 60% of the market share, I believe.
But they're
it
in the
is,
shit as
around
well
that.
because of
They're
similar
in the shit.
competition
There's
things.
two
but
of them.
No, but that's
and they're being
because-
looked at.
No,
Bunnings
but
isn't
that's
being looked
because
at.
that's because that there's a perceived level of collusion going on. Then you're talking about
Bunnings doesn't.
No, but you're talking about
doesn't
two
need collude
companies.
with anyone.
No, but now you're talking about two companies that can use their collective power.
Bunnings has more power than both of them combined, and it's one entity.
I know what you're saying.
How can that be?
No. I know
how
what
can
you're
that
saying.
be better?
I know what you're saying.
They don't need to collude with anyone. They can collude with themselves.
No, I'm saying that if Woolies are 40% and Coles are 40% and IGAs and independents are 20%, that's bigger than Bunnings' share if they're colluding, because that's an 80% share. Okay,
Totally.
so if you have two companies whose goal it is to fist as hard as possible, or you've got one company that is also trying to do the exact same thing, I'm scared of the two companies who are chatting to each other about
I'm
it.
scared about the one company that doesn't have to chat with anyone.
I know what you're saying.
It will get looked at. I know that it has been that the word Bunnings has been flagged as something that the ACCC needs to have a look at.
Well, for the longest time, Bunnings was just known for sausage sizzle.
It's genius.
Like,
Make it look like it's really community facing. It's just your little hardware store with your, community feel.
What you
It's
were?
perfect.
You didn't know there were these dark corporate
Perfect-
undertones. You didn't know that
perfect
this
marketing.
wasn't owned by just a lovely tool guy like Tim the Toolman Taylor. You know, no. There's big wigs involved in this shit. You know,
It's
they gotta get
perfect.
their cash.
Oh, it's genius.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. There's all sorts of that sort of shit, isn't there? Every big company isn't a big company because they were like, you know what? Let's look out for everybody. Let's keep an eye on prices. Let's try and charge people less than what the product costs. Like, let's do something funky. No one's doing that. Everyone's like,
I would say
"Let's
Bunnings is
get
in a class of its
cash."
own in terms of market share and profits are huge. I just put Bunnings above. It's just I find it interesting that Woolworths and Coles.
The only thing I'd
looked
say
at.
to that is everyone needs food. Not everyone needs a new bathroom fitting. Okay, so if you're talking about food,
bit more than that
this is
as
an
well.
everyday item. Like, this is something we need to live.
That's true. That is very true.
Not everyone needs a new shower head, right? Or whatever it is. I mean,
They pretty much
I like
do the lot, don't they?
I use Bunnings, but maybe twice a year. I use the shops every week. You know, like I'm not saying
Anyway,
that.
Bunnings
Anyway,
is,
corruption.
I see Bunnings a
yeah.
little bit differently now. They've been sort of. I didn't realize they owned all those companies that they sell a lot of the products.
Yeah. I guess I'm
think
not
that's
that
just-
shocked by it because it seems like a logical thing to do if you are the.
No, but it should be more transparent, like Woolworths is and Coles saying that they own those products. That's the difference I seen. Is like I know Woolworths are selling and pushing their own products because it's labelled as such.
I got a
whereas
weird
I was
question.
Like, Bunnings doesn't actually do it.
Who owns Bunnings?
Wesfarmers.
Wesfarmers.
Yeah, it's listed.
So that's the
Publicly listed.
conglomerate of IGAs.
I think they've got they've got
That's-
heaps of stuff. They've got heaps of stuff. Yeah. That's my understanding anyway. I've been wrong about things before. What was I wrong about? The size of Mercury. Someone pulled me up.
You know, I checked the data on that, and it turns out you weren't that far off. So I'm going to call that a draw, all right, or a no contest, okay? Because
I think
you
I
said
did
something
say
like
Mercury
200
was smaller, but what I was trying to convey is how small. Just the sense was how small Mercury is as a planet and how big the moon is. The moon is massive. The moon is
too
huge.
big. It's too big. It's got to be made out of cheese.
On the scale of moons, it is a very big moon. And it's very close to being the size of Mercury. Very close. I think that we looked it up was but Mercury is 1.4 times bigger than the moon.
Yeah, they're both in the 200,000 kilometer diameter, I believe. Both in the 200,000s.
Pretty comparable.
One was like 230, the other one was like 290. So it's fairly large disparity, but it's not like astronomical levels.
Yeah, it's not like orders of magnitude different. No. Okay. If I told you, or you tell me even,
All right.
would you say digital cameras are dead technology?
No. Nowhere
Interesting.
near.
I thought they were.
They're not. What are you comparing them to? A phone?
I just thought not an
Are you
SLR, by the way. I'm talking like your Canon.
Yeah. But what are you
comparing?
comparing? What are we comparing that to? A phone?
Okay, so I found an SLR camera in my stuff, and I had a digital camera with it. I put the SLR up for sale, and I was like, "Oh, do I just throw this digital camera out? Like, who's going to want this? It's a 10-year-old digital camera."
Yeah. Where they used to say how many megapixels it was in very nice letters, saying it's like 1.9 million. And you're like, great. What does that mean? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just use it.
So I bought this in 2016 when I was in the US because my phone was really dicky and the battery was problematic, and I wanted to take photos and not be draining my phone when I was
I think
out.
if we're talking over 10 years ago, you probably want to take a camera and not your dicky phone from back then anyway. As your main sort of like, if you're documenting a trip or something, I'd be comfortable taking a phone today on a trip and getting some nice shots. But 15 years ago, nowhere near it.
Well, it was 10 years. I don't think it was bad. It was for me, it was the battery life. I didn't want to be out and about. I didn't have a power bank with me.
And it's tough to compare because we're comparing it to today's phones, which are obviously like way better at shooting video and photos than they were.
And that's why I think that a 10-year-old digital camera was probably something I need to throw out and wouldn't be a market for. That was my impression.
You're talking about like a point and shoot digital camera where it's like all in one. You don't change the lenses. It's just one. It's just a thing. It just slips in your pocket.
Yeah, optical zoom.
Very handy for certain situations. not the best for taking great photos. Yeah.
So I put it up last night, and I just pop it up $300 because I don't know what I go big because I don't know what it's really worth, and I'll start scaling it back
You didn't even
over
Google
time.
it?
I had a quick Google, but they don't make it anymore, and this particular model you can't find it. I couldn't find
it's
it
vintage.
on
It's
eBay.
rare. It's
yeah,
rare.
that's that. This is how this is completely dead technology.
Did you put super rare in there?
I did. My phone blew up. I am batting people off left, right, and center for this thing. I think I'm going to have to take it down and get my wife to put it up at a different price because I got 204 clicks in the first hour. I had 9 when I opened my phone up again. I had 9 people asking me if it's available.
Yeah, it's either there's like 200 idiots or you're the idiot.
But I've put up so many. Yeah, exactly. I'm definitely the idiot.
Well, there's all of them are. There's 2 possibilities.
Yeah, there's 2 possibilities.
Yeah.
So let me just check my phone now. Let's see how many people have got. Okay, look, I've opened up my phone.
I mean, I like how you led the show with Bunnings are doing some pretty nefarious shit, and then you're talking about something that's pretty.
But I'm just one little person. I'm only screwing over one person. I'm not screwing over the whole of Australia.
That's the just.
And I just want market value for my item.
What
That's
about
all.
yeah, sure.
Clearly, the market value is way
research.
it's way higher than I was. I've got 5 messages just now that I haven't responded to. Anyway, so I don't know what I'm going to do about it.
Yeah.
Explain that to me. I was completely wrong about digital cameras.
No. You're not wrong about it. You're not wrong about it. You're definitely wrong about point and shoots. I wouldn't buy a point and shoot today for any reason. For no reason at all. I would never ever buy a point and shoot anymore. Digital SLRs and film cameras are all digital now. So yeah, digital cameras are here to stay. Everything's shot on digital. So if you want to take a photo, like I said, you're away on a trip, take a photo of a waterfall or something, yeah, take your phone out. It's all good.
Yeah,
but
it's just easier.
The photo with a digital SLR, like a nice camera, nice lens, like for the environment, and you take that photo, it's going to be 10 times better than your phone camera. It does that, equate to the effort required to bring all that gear and charge it all and have it all ready and stuff. The answer for me is no. But if someone said, hey man, we're going to do a video shoot this weekend. By the way, I had an idea for a video shoot that we could do. A bit of a meet and greet with the VACUOUS Perspective. We set up a market stall in like Murray Street, print out like 15 t-shirts. We give them out, like, people want, we say they're $15 or $20 or something, and people come up, we just, what I'm trying to do is pretend. We're just pretending that the show's massive and that we weren't having a little stall set up, right? Just for a little while. And the funny thing is that it would almost certainly increase our viewership. Because it's not hard to do. It's not hard. Yeah. Just have to maybe just get one person of the 20 who go, who the fuck are you guys? Right, we do a podcast. You've probably heard of it. It's on YouTube and stuff. You've probably seen it.
A pretty big deal.
We're a big deal. Here's a shirt. Okay. Have a great day. So anyway, if someone said we're going to go film if someone said we're going to go film that, yes, it's probably not a great example because you could have a guy guerrilla filming around with a camera phone, but you'd want something there that can capture actually good images. And I'm sick of low effort garbage, right? That has just become the mainstay of the internet, which is like, well, because I went to university, I studied film at university. They told me like, hey, if you don't have 10 grand, you can't make anything. Nowadays they say, oh, you've got everything you could possibly want. You've got a whole studio in your pocket. You've got a studio in your pocket, a full studio. It does everything. So they were wrong, basically. The people who taught me that, they were wrong.
Were they right at the time and things have changed?
In my eyes, and probably theirs, they're still right. It's shit. Like, it's garbage, like what gets created. It's absolute garbage. It's low effort. It's all low effort. So, there's 2 ways to approach it. You either go, well, I'm going to apply some low effort. I'm going to do some low effort, which I've done in the past, a lot of low effort stuff.
Right now?
Well, well, yeah. Okay, that's fair. But like, to put a high amount of effort in, it makes you stand out still. Because there's always going to be a home for well-made shit. It's just unfortunate that the standard today is so... It's good because it's so entryable. Like it's very easy for anyone to pick up. Like my mum, who's probably listening, could start a YouTube channel tomorrow reading children's books, and it would pop off because
I'd watch her play poker.
Yeah, she's poker genius. She could do anything really. The point is that like if you have all the equipment, you already have it all. You can do anything.
Within you.
Yeah, well, that's pretty standard. It's pretty standard. But I'm not saying like you're gonna, or I'm not saying like anything about success. It's just you have all the tools.
No. Mm-hmm.
You've got all the tools. You can do it right now.
I agree. We're trying to manage expectations, though. We don't want to perform at a level too high and have others expect us to meet that level week in, week out. So we're trying to manage it. We're keeping it low.
Yeah, no, I would never strive to keep things under wraps. That doesn't make any sense. We've got to strive for excellence at all times, and we've got to fail
High performance culture.
Got to fail a lot.
I've got something that I haven't looked into, but I made a note to myself to look into.
Did that come from?
So it kind of goes with our low energy. It kind of goes with our low energy performance here. Someone told me, one of our friends on the weekend said something just in passing that I googled later. Something about an invisible statue being sold. Have you come across this before?
Oh, so is the statue just? It's not there.
This is just an article from the 3rd of June. So wait, 2021. Okay, this is interesting. All right, I assumed it was recent. I assumed it was. When I saw 3rd of June, I was like, that's today. But anyway, I'm just going to go through it. This is the headline. An Italian artist auctioned off an invisible sculpture for $18,300. It's literally made of nothing.
How do you get that price? He was like, well, materials. It's like $8,000.
Well, it was an auction. So
spent.
It's people. This is just the bidding process.
Just morons.
This is the market value for nothing.
Plinth? Does it come on a plinth?
No, it's nothing. So this is a quote from the artist Salvatore Garadu he calls it a sculpture.
Oh.
It is a work that asks you to activate the power of your imagination.
Get fucked. That's your job. You're the artist. You're meant to imagine something. It's not my job. Wow, that is the lowest effort. That guy's cracked the code.
This guy's a genius, man.
He's
a
genius.
Sorry. And when you say how do you get to 18,300, it was 15,000 euro, which translates to 18,300.
I guess my point is that how can any price be justified for the work involved in the materials? Was this a subtractive piece or an additive piece? Because let me just say this: if he has indeed sculpted this, I am beginning to understand the art. Meaning, if you start with a big block of rock and you chip it away until it's nothing, now we have a sculpture. Something's actually happened. There's been a process. So I need to know if he went, right, just didn't do anything, said, here's the sculpture, right, then said, oh, who bought it? That guy. Okay, I'll just deliver it to his house. It's there. It's in the front door. I've already done it. Like if he's that... Look,
I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
If he did indeed sculpt this thing to nothing, I'm impressed. I think he has done something there. I think he's made a piece of art there.
I think we're going to find out by the end of this article.
Let's have it.
It's called. The work translates into to the word "I am."
Get fucked.
That's what it's called. I am.
I'm back in the pretentious bandwagon. I'm going to be constantly flipping between this guy's pretentious and this guy's an artist. It's going to keep happening. Anyway, go on. What did he say?
This is a quote from a Spanish news outlet. The vacuum is nothing more than a space full of energy. And if we empty it and there's nothing left, according to the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, that nothing has a weight. Therefore, it has energy that is condensed and transformed into particles, that is, into us.
That sounds like a scientist talking instead of an art critic. So I'm going to stricken that quote from the record. I want that out of here. That was total nonsense.
The pre-sale estimate was between 6,000 to 9,000 euro.
Wow, it outperformed.
But competing bidders pushed the price tag to 15,000.
What a bunch of fuckwits.
The lucky buyer went home with
the
a certificate.
lucky buyer.
A certificate of authenticity.
Oh, what? Which bit is authentic?
And a set of instructions.
On
The
how to
work-
set it up?
Yeah, according to the artist, must be exhibited in a private house in a roughly 5 by 5 foot space free of obstruction.
So he's now telling people how the sculpture's meant to be. This is the biggest. I mean, you've brought me a lot of turds before, but this has to be a troll. This is the biggest, steamiest turd I've ever seen on the whole show.
Talk to Salvador.
Man, I'm very upset about this.
Quote from the artist. When I decide to exhibit an immaterial... He calls them immaterial sculptures, so maybe he's done this before. When I decide to exhibit an immaterial sculpture in a given space, that space will concentrate a certain amount of density of thoughts at a precise point.
He's right.
Creating a sculpture that, from my title, will only take the most varied forms. These quotes, I'm reading them word for word, and I swear they don't make sense.
That one did make sense. He's saying that, like, no matter what, there's nothing there, but you're going to get a feeling from it, and that's art. And he's right.
He's just walloped you with this one. If you thought
that
was artsy claptrap,
yes,
he goes on to draw a rather lofty comparison to the work.
Go for it, bro.
This is the quote.
Get lofty with it, man.
After all, don't we shape a god we've never seen?
Get fucked, idiot. I don't.
Yeah, you don't.
I'm so upset with this person.
Oh, he's done another one. So this guy exhibited Buddha in contemplation, a similarly invisible sculpture demarcated by a square of tape on a cobblestone walkway.
Throw this guy in the bin. And the only reason I say that is because I went on the Wikipedia for this guy, and there's another link to other invisible sculptures over the years.
Oh, shit.
Okay?
Oh,
now,
no.
if he was the first guy to do this, then, man, it's a pretty incredible idea. I agree with that. But there's 1959, 1965, 69, 71, 79, 85, 89, 91, 2003, 2021, 2022, 2020. He did it twice in 1 year because he's like, fuck, I'm really onto something here. He is onto something.
Bro, I've got it. I'm onto it now. We need to get on this now. How many people have done that? We need, at our stall, our Vacuous Perspective stall, we need to have an invisible statue.
We've got one. We've got 10. Got
Just
100
one.
out. I got 100
one.
out back.
We'll have to bring, what's he call it? An immaterial sculpture.
It's a big, it's crazy amounts of garbage, man. That is epic levels of wank right there.
Okay, so that's a lot of wank.
I feel bad for whoever bought that. Who bought that?
It was. I don't think they actually.
No, we wouldn't know. I'm more asking about the character of the person. Who is the kind of person who's buying invisible sculptures? Who's doing that? Because
someone with too much money.
Too much money.
But you've got the certificate of authenticity. That's the only thing you have that is actually physical. The only tangible thing, yeah. So you can say to someone, "I did buy this." Nothing.
It's somewhere in my house. I can't find it.
Is that
put
even
it down
legal?
Somewhere.
Can you sell nothing? I suppose you know what you'd need. Or you are getting the certificate of authenticity. I forgot about that. If you didn't get a certificate of authenticity, the only way it would be legally enforceable in Australia is it would have to be by deed rather than agreement. Like an agreement, it's a subtle distinction, but an agreement can be verbal. And if you agree to give me $100 for a cordial, then there's consideration and it can be an enforceable agreement because you're getting something. If I tell you I'm going to give you $50 because you're not giving me anything, there's no consideration. It has to be via deed, which is a written document and meet certain execution requirements for you to be able to go to court and say this guy owes me $50.
Told me to give me $50.
Yeah, but if I just tell you it's so just remember that's legal advice.
Yes. No, but the legal, is it legal to sell nothing? I mean,
yeah. Well,
you get the deed. Oh man, that's
pretty wild, isn't it?
I mean, it's what you promised. It's the most low effort thing I've ever heard in my life, like to sell an invisible sculpture.
I like it. I like it a lot. from a low effort point of view.
Like I said before, if it's subtractive, if he's actually started with something and sculpted it to nothing, I'm impressed. I think it's a fantastic concept.
Yeah, it doesn't say how he creates it.
Yeah, if he just blinks and it's there, I hate this. It's money for nothing.
I would also accept if he danced in the area,
right, to create the energy that you're talking about,
to engender a certain vibe in that space, and then he cordoned it off and says, "This is my work. I was doing some things there."
Mm-hmm.
I'd almost allow that more so than just blinking and it coming into existence. At least he did something that was...
Have you seen that super weird, super trippy piece of art that is it's a robot trying to clean up its own oil spill? Have you seen that one?
That's depressing.
It's got these windscreen...
Unsettling.
Look it up while I'm talking about it. It's got these windscreen wiper things that sort of act as mops to just mop the oil back into itself so that it can continue to function because it needs the oil. So the art is, well, the artist talks about it in a sort of ways as it's mental health related. It's the fact that like you're literally just pushing it all. Not that you're pushing it all in, but you're constantly managing yourself.
Yes. You're fighting for your life constantly. There's no reprieve. It's called Can't Help Myself by Sun Yuang and Peng Yu.
And it looks like a murder scene in the cyberpunk future that we...
Doesn't it?
Yeah, because it does...
It's in the Guggenheim in New York.
There you go. And it's always working. I think over time the oil gets more, as in like it doesn't have the ability to clean it up at a rate that it is spewing it out. So I think it will eventually stop.
I think eventually, yeah. I think
And that's art. Like to me, when we're talking about like modern art, where we're talking about invisible sculptures and shit, she's got to be pretty pissed off at old mate selling it for 15 grand or whatever, and he's done nothing. He's done absolutely nothing.
So some people are doing nothing and getting paid for it. Other people are trying to go to Mars.
Yeah.
Again.
Who's doing that?
Elon's back at it. This is an article. This is. I didn't realize Mars was still on the cards. Not a Mars One type thing. Actually, sending robots to Mars is what he wants to do.
That's way smarter.
This is a headline of another article. Elon Musk says SpaceX will launch its biggest Starship yet this year, which is fine. But Mars in 2026 is 50-50. We haven't even gone to the moon.
Yeah, no. But
Mars in 26 is 50-50. That piqued my attention.
I mean, if you're talking about space, though, is it really that much different if you're going to the moon or if you're going to Mars? You're already in space. It's just a bit more fuel or something. But and if you've got no life on board, then there's no considerations for radiation and all that sort of stuff. If we're just sending robots, they can go tomorrow. Yeah. They could send them tomorrow.
Well, no, you're right. You need to do the refueling in outer space, which has never been done before. But you also need to do that to go to the moon. So that's the biggest obstacle is executing.
I don't think
no, you do.
Yeah, no. For Starship to do it. But if we just wanted to chuck a couple of robots on the Mars just to get things going, we could do that tomorrow. We have landed on Mars before. We have sent things to Mars before. That's my point.
Yeah, okay. Elon has said that to do this maneuver, to send Starship, they need to execute the first refueling because they want to send a certain amount of stuff.
Yeah, he's all about payload.
A big payload, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, meanwhile, Starship is, still exploding.
Just what do they call it? Controlled mid-air or uncontrolled mid-air disassembly or something? Because we need soft language we just can't say the rocket blew up anymore.
But we got lots of data.
The rocket blew up, people. Oh, we got the data. Great. What about from the moon missions from the early 70s and stuff? Do we have those data? No, gone. Right, bummer. And even if we had it, we couldn't put it on anything because we don't have the equipment to read it anymore. Oh, yeah, I know. Look, get on Mars. Let's get there. I think I'm a bit bored of the moon anyway. Like, haven't seen a need to go there. It got me really excited.
It got me very excited. I'm just trying to find the actual... Okay, so if everything works out, Starship could be headed for Mars just a year or so later, he added. So this is a year or so later from, there's a version 3, a variant of Starship that's just a little bit taller, very slightly, 4 meters taller to be precise.
I thought the new moon mission would be moving a bit quicker, but they were saying a year ago, and
They're not
years before
interested.
that they were saying
pushed
a
it
year
back
ago.
2 years, yeah.
This is what I mean. Like they're giving
It's
us
not gonna
they're giving us very loose release dates on these missions. A year or so, that's 2 years minimum. A year
It
or
seems
so,
like we're so far away.
We're so far away.
Very, very far away. Okay, so Mars and Earth align properly for interplanetary missions just once every 26 months. So there's an opportunity in November and December 2026. And the goal is, this is what Elon Musk has been quoted as saying just recently, the other day, the goal is to send 5 Starship version 3 vehicles to the Red Planet to prove out the vehicle and its associated tech.
Sure. I mean, sure, go for it. I mean, yeah, absolutely do that.
So they're gonna be uncrewed, but they're gonna carry some Optimus humanoid robots, which are built by Tesla.
Yeah, going to chuck robots on Mars.
I didn't know Tesla had robots.
Yep.
I haven't heard of this Optimus humanoid fellow.
Yeah. No, he's like a house robot. A lot of the celebrities have them. One day we'll all have them. It'll be like the mobile phone. You know, it
Overnight,
first started
yeah.
to the super rich, and then within 10 years' time, everyone had a mobile phone. It'll be like that. So that's happening.
So the biggest hurdle, according to Musk, will be mastering off-Earth refueling of ship.
Yeah, which they need a lot of. Because it takes a lot of fuel to get Starship into orbit. Therefore, they need a lot in orbit to give to the Starship that's going to end up going.
I think a lot of the fuel is actually decelerating when you get there, because you're getting pulled in by the gravity of Mars, and you have to slow the ship down. Like you have to get to a certain speed, but you also have to decelerate. You're not getting any assistance from the wind, for example. You have to put energy in to decelerate.
Important to note, they're not landing the whole sucker on Mars. They'll be landing a part of Starship on Mars, which could then possibly take off again. Would be the idea.
That's so fraught with problems. There's this whole thing, the Mars Sample Return mission, which is just landing a probe on Mars that is going to collect some Mars Earth and fire just a tiny rocket, as small as possible, as small as is necessary, just to get it into orbit and get it back to Earth. NASA's been looking into this for ages, and they keep pushing back and expanding the budget for this thing. They can't do it. It's just too expensive to get a Mars sample of any size.
Yeah, well, then times that by 1 billion if you want to actually put a refinery up there and be able to make the shit that'll make the rockets come home. I mean, that's another problem.
Yeah, getting off the surface is hugely challenging. I mean, it's hugely challenging getting onto it. Like, you saw the absolute circus act that
It's the same. It's the same as if Mars were launching missions to us. They'd be like, once we get there, we're going to have a pretty rough time getting off that rock.
Yeah.
Same problem.
With no infrastructure. Like, how hard is it to get off? Although Mars's gravity is less than Earth, so it'll be, in theory, at least easy from a gravity point of view.
Yeah.
You still, we're blowing up rockets left, right, and center, and using tanks and tanks and tanks of these immaculately prepared rockets with all these people standing around monitoring every little O-ring.
Mm-hmm. No, but the robots will do all that. They'll sort all that.
What's fascinating, Musk says, I think we probably have a 50-50 chance right now. So are we putting it in the calendar? Do we have that VP calendar going?
Yeah, put it in the calendar. Next year-ish. Tech on Mars, basically. Well, more tech. We've already got some tech. We've got the Perseverance, who's been kicking around Mars for years now.
Can we get AI to go through all our episodes and actually populate a calendar with all the things that we've read about that are supposed to be happening?
I don't know. Probably.
We need to actually get AI doing a bit more for us,
Yeah, but who's going to press Control-C, Control-V 127 times, which is what you'd have to do. So you're saying, like, why can't the AI just do this? It can do all this stuff, but it still needs your input.
But when it gets to the point where you can just give it, a YouTube channel.
No, it'll get to the point where it'll just read your mind and go, I know what you want, and here it is. Fantastic. So that's even crazier. But, I mean, so you're talking about a trained algorithm AI who's like, My big thing that I was trained on is analyzing a YouTube channel, and I can analyze everything and tell you everything about it. That's what you're talking about, but that's not what every AI is built for.
No, all I want it to do is detect dates and concepts and populate a calendar from a YouTube channel.
That's not all I want it to do. I want it to be able to replicate.
What do you want it to do?
I want it to be able to do everything. I don't want an AI that's geared towards one thing. You know what I mean?
No, I want AI that could make me some sourdough. I'd take it.
Well, that's your robot, and it's coming. It'll do it.
I'll take that. I don't need it to do everything. I don't need it to fold my washing.
It'll do everything.
Apparently, that's really complicated.
Actually.
I just want it to make me some sourdough. I don't want to overcomplicate things for it. So, if Starship does indeed fly to Mars in 2026, SpaceX will ramp up the ambition and the activity, sending about 20 ships to the Red Planet between 2028 and 2029. And there could be people on those flights.
Well, dead people, like future dead people.
This is Musk again, assuming the first missions are successful and they land successfully, would send humans on the next moon mission. So that is when he says
you said moon. You said moon.
The next mission.
I meant the Mars next mission. Right.
Yeah,
right.
next. Yep. And then we can really start building infrastructure on Mars. It keeps going, man. I'm not done with his vision. I'm just warning you right now. 100 ships could fly to Mars during the third launch window from now, and that is in 2030 to 2031, and 500 or so in the one after that,
carrying
in 2033.
People, carrying equipment.
According to one of the slides on Musk's presentation, carrying people and equipment. The end goal is a self-sufficient city on Mars, which will be able to survive even if it somehow becomes cut off from our civilization on Earth. Such a city will likely consist of more than 1 million people and require the transport of millions of tons of cargo across deep space. This is wild stuff. 2031.
No.
Million people.
No, but like I was trying to do the maths then. He was talking about 100 ships. If they're trying to get 1 million people up there, 100 ships, you need 1,000 people on every ship.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah. They're massive. They're massive.
1,000 people
supposed to be taking
and cargo?
1,000 people a ship. Yeah. I think Starship.
So who's signing up? You need 1 million people. We need 1 million peeps. We need 1 million guinea pigs. I mean, you're just going to be able to tell me the tonnage that it can carry.
No, it has the number of people. It can carry like Starship 2, height of 52 meters, payload capacity of 100 tons to low Earth orbit.
Yeah, but you need, like, anytime you're sending up 1,000 people, you also need to be able to send up enough stuff to help
These are his
people.
quotes. This is his quotes. You think
Sounds
he hasn't done the math? You think that someone's going to be like, oh, man, have you actually got that many people on the aircraft?
Yeah, he sounds as harebrained as the bloody Italian sculptor making nothing. Like, he sounds as unhinged as that when he says stuff like that.
Yeah, but at least, he's done some math. There'll be some concept behind it. It wouldn't, not that he might not be able to execute on it, but this is the vision.
Leave it to private enterprise to sort it out, huh?
So 2031, 1 million people on Mars. Put that in the calendar, please. Thank you.
Jesus.
Thank you, AI.
No.
It's good though, because
that's completely preposterous. You won't be able to meet that.
If you're in that million,
yeah,
you could. I'm just saying that's what he said. I mean, he's not going to meet that. No way in hell. But I'd like to see him try. So, I reckon I could be best in 1 million people. I reckon, I've got no chance at being the best at anything.
I might make the baseball team
on this planet.
I might make the baseball team. Yeah. I could make the baseball team, maybe.
Maybe if I play pickleball, something really unusual. There's only 5 of us that do it.
Yeah.
Join rowing on Mars wouldn't be very popular.
I could play for a League of Legends esports team on Mars. I could play for the Martian esports team. That's probably something that I do the most of, so I'm going to put that in there.
What would your ping be if you were playing interplanetary?
Not good.
It wouldn't be good, would it?
Not good. Yeah. Not good. Yeah, okay, well, you could estimate it because we're about 7,000 odd kilometers away from, the States or whatever, and we would get maybe a 300, 250 ping to them. So just times that by, or divide 237,000 by 7,000, and you've got a rough idea of what the ping would be. Times that by 200, and you'd have a rough idea of what the ping would be. It wouldn't be good. You'd have to be predicting things seconds in advance, more than that.
I reckon we should imagine the first time that the Martian AFL team beats the Earth's
How do they do
AFL
that?
team.
Are you playing an away game, are you? Oh, shit, that's a bit of a commute.
But they might only do it once every 10 years, but they bring them all over. Or we go there.
Now, they'd have
I don't know how it's going to work.
They'd have their own sport, man. They'd have their own ideas of sport.
Can you imagine someone that started there wins the UFC heavyweight championship in Mars,
first Martian,
and they bring him, they bring him to Earth, and he wins. He goes double title,
wins the
interplanetary
title.
He unifies the
universal title.
How good would it be? Good would it be? I'm excited.
I just don't think that in this distant future that you're talking about, where there's a UFC champion from Mars, I just don't think that you have enough faith in the human race if you think we're still going to be drawing lines like that. Oh, but you're a Martian. Oh, but you're this. I hope that we're past that by that point. And I think there was this guy on a podcast recently who said that the real test of the human civilization is whether or not we can grapple with unlearning our survival instincts that are unnecessary anymore and actually cause conflict and harm. We have to unlearn millions of years of evolution that got us as far as it did. Yeah. It got us here, and now we got to leave it behind. And that's incredibly difficult.
I think it's never going to happen on Earth, but we can start afresh on Mars.
Yeah. Look, I think the tribalism would be just as bad on Mars, to be honest. I think they'd have a pretty strong national planetary identity, and maybe that would be unifying for the people of Mars, but it's still divisive. And we would be too. People think that we need the Independence Day alien invasion in order for us to get on the same team. And
then it's us versus them.
Exactly. We've just drawn a new line. We've just species. Now we're speciest. We only like humans. Just each other. So you can't get away from it, unfortunately.
And we would be okay with each other whilst we're battling the aliens. Once we eviscerate them,
or get more likely,
then let's just say we eviscerate them. Then we're back to we will fracture again into two. There'll be a controlling, there'll be people that want certain level of power or control. We won't all be one big happy family.
No,
we'll keep splitting like religions keep splitting.
It'll be the same.
Things just, everyone wants to be the leader. Everyone wants to be in the
cool club. Yeah. You're right. Just as a side point there, how much Independence Day is straight propaganda, and it's straight lying to the people. Because I saw the movie, I saw the aliens tech. All right, we didn't stand a single chance. Oh, no. They had us on toast. But no.
We've got force fields,
America worked it out.
I could be in the barbecue.
America fixed it, and everyone is all happy, and we're all on the same team. Because that crop duster dude goes, guess what, boys, I'm home, or I'm back, and flies into it. And then they start radioing China and Australia and go, here's how you bring down that big ship in the Sydney Harbour. This is how you do it. So it's straight propaganda. It's literally the America being the sort of leaders of the world, stopping an alien invasion where the levels of technology they should have, right? That movie should have been, we've detected something just on the other side of the moon, we're dead. Because there's no way they roll in and do a little parade and set up. Well, maybe they would, they sort of set up for a while and everyone's like, ooh, what's going on? Bang! I mean, it was a cool movie.
Oh, great. Do you reckon the US delayed a little bit before letting China know? All I'm saying is they definitely let Australia know first.
No, the way it's described in the movie, they do a montage. And it's just them talking in different languages to different defense outposts, and they're all on board, man. Everybody wants these aliens gone. They've had a gutful of them, right? Finally some leadership on this planet, finally a bit of leadership. It's total garbage. I think it's just because I've turned so bad on Will Smith that I'm going to attack Independence Day as hard as I have.
Oh, don't leave it alone.
Nah, I don't like the guy and I want him to come clean. Yeah.
I saw another slap actually. Did you see Brigitte Macron slap?
I did see that. That was awkward as hell, man.
Super awkward.
If you haven't seen it, I mean, watch it. It's a leader of a nation getting slapped by his wife. I mean, what could be more compelling? But he's getting off France's Air Force One. I think they call it Air Force, or I don't know what they call it, right? But he was just about to get off, and she just it wasn't even a slap. It was like a face palm.
Yeah, it was like a claw.
Yeah, she palmed him to the face.
She kind of...
And then he looks at the cameras, realizes all the red lights are on, all the cameras are recording. He goes, ha, 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 gives a little wave, which I found very cute. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Oh, man, I went down I started going down the biggest rabbit hole. I listened to first 2 minutes of a Joe Rogan thing on that slap, and he mentioned that Candace Owens did a 5-hour podcast about Brigitte Macron or something. No, this is 3 months ago.
Brigitte Macron, right?
Brigitte, yeah. But I say Bridget. It's like Brigitte or something.
It's the French version. Yeah.
Yeah, the French version of Bridget. I'm just gonna say Bridget. Have you heard the scandalous, saucy?
That's how Candace Owens would put it, though. She would say scandalous, saucy, and all those.
No,
words.
I'm saying this.
No, but that's her words.
Bridget is a bloke.
I've heard that.
Have you ever heard that?
I've heard that.
Oh my god!
But I've heard Michelle Obama was a bloke too, and that was just.
I haven't heard that one.
That's just straight pure hatred.
Oh man, she's an hour and a half in, and
why don't they focus on the actual weird bit of the the Macron?
No,
thing?
they definitely
they would
that.
Because it's hard to avoid the fact that she taught him at high school or something and knew him since he was a teenager.
14, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the weird.
No,
bit
they definitely
that we know.
That's totally weird.
Oh well,
but,
yeah, sure.
Man, there's been a documentary about her life, and there's been a book about her life. You can't find a photo of her before she was 35.
Yeah, but neither could, she might be like Jesus. She had a childhood and then
not just
for
that.
25 years.
It's pretty compelling. I was like, holy moly. And she's reading out these legal letters they're getting from her.
But you didn't watch the 5-hour thing.
No, I'm an hour and a half in. I'm deep. It's so good, man. I'm sitting there. I'm cracking the popcorn. This is wild.
Yeah, but it's like a I agree. It's kind of like if she was a known to be trans, it's not a story. But again, it's that whole access thing. My point is that it's kind of irrelevant. What she is. It's kind of.
I mean,
it's irrelevant to the point of it's not mine. It's not my information to know. It's pure weird voyeurism going on of me wanting to be in someone else's life. I find it kind of strange.
Would you not say that if she was a bloke, would you not say that you got a bloke that is in a position of power, just a teacher, a position of power that would be, I mean, you could say they're grooming a student of a school. You don't even need to bring the bloke into it for that to be the case, because she clearly knew him when he was a teenager. So if you want to say did she groom him? It's irrelevant what the gender is at that point as well. It's irrelevant. Yeah, well, I mean,
and my
she's
point
the first
is,
lady. She's someone in a very prominent position that hasn't had. It's actually real fascinating.
Yeah, but there's a lot of
pretty deep on this.
But Candace Owens doesn't know, right?
No,
so she's just speculating, right?
Yeah.
So what I'll say is that, either way, it's actually none of my business. And it's not the role of trans gay people to tell everyone. No. Listen to what I'm saying. It's very important. It's not their job to tell people what they are. It's not their job. They don't have to. You don't tell people what you are. You don't tell people you're a bloke. You don't tell people you're heterosexual. You don't. They're not entitled to that information. So my big point is, I couldn't give a fuck, all right, about that, right? But someone who is using it to attack someone, I find very strange, because that's the whole reason that people, who are trans and stuff keep sort of stuff to themselves, is because the demonization, which is part of what this Candace Owens thing is doing. It appeals to her base. It appeals to her base of hatred
Yeah,
hate watching.
I'm just saying that you've just made like, you've got no idea what it's about, but you're making a lot of
I've heard her claims. I've heard her
claims
claims before, and she's like, she's a divisive character. She is a divisive character.
It just is what it is. I'm just bringing it up. But it's fascinating. Like, it's the thing that's
Again,
out there.
if it's what's the purpose? Is it to poke fun? Because if I need to know so that I can poke fun, then I don't.
Why would I be poking fun at someone?
I'm just saying,
it's someone in a prominent position.
I thought
she's 20
wild.
years older. You can't say that it's not weird.
No,
it's another layer. So it's a story. So there's a story there, right? There's a crazy story, amazing story that should be acknowledged, that sort of gets swept on the carpet. And now someone's telling me that this grooming person might be a bloke on top of the whole thing.
It's a bit like
someone's not being genuine about, and then her whole past is this massive mystery. You can't tell me that this isn't like adding like a firecracker into this soup of already stuff that's going on.
Those rumors though have existed for years and years that she's a bloke. That's existed for years and years.
Yeah, I'm not saying she is or isn't. It's just the way it all folds in.
I think it's just in the news because we saw the slap happen on the plane, and people
exactly.
start talking about it again, and then but like I find it funny that someone who doesn't know can do a 5-hour podcast on it. That's wild.
Yeah. No, they go into it. Just give it a bit of a go. Give it a big go. I'd like to know what you think of it.
Yeah, I just want to know.
Don't agree with it. Don't agree with it. Say like, what you can watch it from the point of like, what is she doing?
No, I need to know why it's important. Because if someone goes, "Hey, I'm exposing this person," I'll be like, "What about them?" And they're like, "They're a bloke." I don't care about your exposure.
It's not just the bloke.
I know. I get what you're saying. Like, was it a coercive thing? Like, was it? Did she have an imbalance of power?
The way the media. No, it's also the way the media has, pushed a certain narrative, and then when you actually. It's just the way you have those mainstream media pushes a narrative. I think sometimes
people think that like America's the only country. Like every country has weird shit going on all the time. There is a big spotlight on America because it's always had a spotlight.
If John Howard married his teacher 20 plus years his senior,
did he?
If he did, I'd just be like, this is a wild situation.
I know what you're saying, but. I saw a good meme, right? This is gonna, talk to a little bit of this. Saw a good meme where it was this person who said, like, I think it's time we start forgiving the boomers because I'm starting to feel regression. I'm starting to have quote unquote old-fashioned ideas, right? And they said it's not going to be homophobia, it's not going to be transphobia. That shit's going to be nipped in a bud. But it's going to be people falling in love with their AI robots and wanting to marry them. And I think we did talk about this recently when you were over my house. But we're going to have to deal with this new sort of phobia, which I completely think I'll be guilty of having that phobia because I grew up in a time of blah, blah, this and blah, 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 and back in my day and all that sort of garbage. Yeah. So...
And you can have views and you can be conservative about things. That can be your experience. I'm not saying you can't tell someone else what to do, but you can say, I just don't think... that results in happiness, in my experience.
Sure, but like
you might say,
but you just sound like an old person at that point.
No, exactly.
What I mean?
You can have those
that's
views.
what will be the view, though.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be going out there and screaming obscenities at them and for marrying their AI or anything. But you can have your own views. Yeah,
I think Norm said it best. He's like people who say they're anti-gay or something. He's like, yeah, just don't say it. Like, you can. He's like, you can feel it.
Yeah.
He's like, haven't you worked this out yet? Just don't say it. Like,
that's a good. I like. Obviously, Norm is the man, and I actually need to listen to his stuff. I've never actually given him a go. I just see bits and pieces. And I'm like, yeah, he's the best.
I haven't either. I've seen everything he's ever done on Letterman. I've seen everything he's ever done in his podcast, but I've never seen stand-up. I've never seen him do stand-up my whole life. That's so weird. He's a stand-up comedian. Okay. And funnily enough, when he goes on Letterman, he actually just steals other people's old jokes, like really old-fashioned.
Does he?
Yeah, the moth joke, all of his famous jokes that he did on Letterman were just rip-offs of old street gags. He just retells them. That's why he says old-fashioned shit, like he'll say, like, he'll use old phrases like you ever heard tell her that? Because he's like I think he's trying to like give you a window into the era in which he's pilfering all the gags from. But yeah, that's what he does.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned to you, but I didn't go into any detail about this Chinese show called Superbrain.
I think you were about to tell me about it, and then you said, this is for the show. I didn't even know it was a Chinese show. You're going to have to start at the start.
Okay, so it's entirely in Mandarin. They're in at least season 11 of it, because the guy I was listening to featured in the grand finale of season 11. Season 11 was watched by 400 million people.
It's a good market to get into.
3 times more than the Super Bowl. So this isn't small stuff we're dealing with. This is a major Chinese television show.
Sure.
So the premise is there's 6 competitors from China and there's 6 competitors from the rest of the world that are brought in for the finale.
Like Lego Masters.
What's Lego Masters?
It's that one hosted by, half of Hamish and Andy, and they get people from all around Australia who build really good Lego stuff. And they build Lego things to the spec of the project that they're working on. But what I found is the last 2 seasons, I don't watch any like free-to-air television. This is what I've garnered from flicks, eye flickages that I've seen of the show. They're doing like an intergalactic final of Lego Masters where they're inviting people from all around the world. But this isn't the first time they've done it. Australia's just got a really good Lego Masters market. They love Hamish. And the show's popped off here, so they do like international versions where they're like, we get the best Lego Masters from Australia and put them up against the world's best Lego Masters.
So when you're a Lego master,
are
you making these things off the cuff, or have you memorized
how
to make these things, or are you following instructions?
They'll say, we need a skyscraper. Everyone needs to build a skyscraper, and it has to be this big. Like, it has to be this many floors or whatever. And then it's up to them to sort of creatively go about this and have a theme or something. Maybe they get given a theme. But they're not following instructions. They're just building whatever they want. And they build really complex, gnarly things. You'd probably love it.
Okay, I might just watch some highlights. Who knows? I watch a lot of random stuff. So, anyway, these Chinese
I haven't watched
competitors.
It, by the way. Go on.
No, you've glanced.
They face the world. These Chinese guys at what?
They've trickled through the season, and they're the best of the best in certain categories. Like you can have a numbers guy, you can have a memory guy, you can have a Rubik's Cube guy. There's different categories of braininess. Okay, and so when they get the best of Chinese person at each one of these categories, they bring in these international competitors, a USA guy for memory, a French dude for the Rubik's Cube, a Japanese guy for something else, and they put them head to head in their field. So John Graham is this 3 times USA memory champ.
Wow.
And he's competed against this Chinese guy that he's up against before.
Yeah. At another tournament or something.
Yeah, it was actually December 2019 in Wuhan, he said. Pretty crazy. And this guy holds the Guinness World Record for certain number categories. So he's pretty serious. This Chinese guy has some skills. He knows what he's up against. What they do to test their memory is they have 100 lockers. So they're both there on the set, and they've got 100 lockers that are open, and these helpers grab items there's 100 items, and they'll put them 2 at a time in random lockers. So say they'll put an orange in 57 and an apple in 99, and they close the doors and they both punch in a 4-digit code, and it comes up on a screen saying what the code is to get into this locker, and they do it in couples, so 2 at a time. 2 lockers at a time. And these contestants have to, probably up there for about 5 seconds or so, or 3 seconds, they have to remember the number, the item and the code. Number and the code.
Fuck off.
Okay, so they do that until all 100 lockers are filled.
This takes all
And then-
day.
Yeah, most of the show is them just filling up the lockers. And then it's a best of 7, and they show an item on the screen, the
And then
orange.
find it, yeah. Where
And
is it?
they both have a screen in front of them, and it's the first one that can punch in the locker number and the code.
And the code.
And if you get it wrong,
Uh-huh.
you instantly lose the point, and it goes to the other person.
Right, so you don't want to be wrong. You don't want to guess if you
You have
don't
to get
know.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And they are clambering
Got it.
to punch in details.
Yeah, right.
They're not uncertain about
They're not
what these
thinking,
codes are.
Yeah, sure.
And they have a camera that they think it's weird. So when they show the orange, they're both you can see their brains working.
Yes.
And then bing, and then they start typing it in. And they have a camera that they put it side by side so you can see them typing on the screen and what they're typing in. And when they're pushing confirm, like after you put in the details, it looks like it's a fraction of a second between them.
They're
always so close. And then the
So
Chinese
nuts.
guy gets 1 wrong, so he gives away a point. But otherwise, I think gets 4 right. And the USA guy only beats him once. He just couldn't recall the information fast enough. He says he knew. He said I had retained all 100 bits of information. You can see him putting in the same details as the other guy, but he just can't hit confirm quick enough. It was wild.
Yeah, it's funny that like they're trying to like glamorize intelligence. You know what I mean? They're trying to like put it on a pedestal and be like, hey, you need to be really good at Rubik's cubes, or like really good at memory games or maths or whatever. Because the big leagues, like the Super Bowl, baby, is Rubik's cubes.
Trying to make a super race. Yeah, no kind of yeah, like a Barbie Jeep. No, yeah, Barbie Jeep Instagram videos for them. No TikToks of
Well, no, but you know, just from a very
each their own.
I mean, you know, I don't have any problem putting intelligence on a pedestal. That's fine. I think it probably should be. It should be something that we go, that's pretty impressive. It's not going to be the number one show on television. Although, like, things like Sale of the Century and stuff, they were always the biggest shows, right, when we were younger? Like the game shows.
Yeah, and they're pretty boring.
Yeah.
But that was huge. I remember watching a fair bit of
Huge.
Sale of the Century.
I think
don't
it'd be
know
fun to
why.
watch now. Like, I think that'd be a fun night, is just queue up 10 episodes of Family Feud or something from the 90s. A, try and get the questions right. B, look at the prizes. What were people, what did people want back then? You know, it's fascinating. It's a time machine.
We
Like
could
a
do
show
it
show.
on Friday night.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, we could. Yeah. Queue it up. Queue it up.
Another thing I've been watching. Have you seen GeoGuessr?
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of GeoGuessr lately.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
How do you go?
I'm pretty
Do you
good.
even get close?
Yeah, I'm pretty
really.
good. Yeah.
But I mean, you don't know what the different lampposts look like. You don't know how to read.
So
other
the
languages.
metas, like, yeah, occasionally, like, most of the time, my strat is to. What I hate about it is when you first launch GeoGuessr, it's trying to ease you into the game. I want it to
So
be.
what's showing the Eiffel Tower?
Nah, not that bad, but you are in cities, which means if you can spot words, you can tell what language you're looking at a lot of the time, and that's your dead giveaway. I prefer GeoGuessr where it's full random, and sometimes all you get is a tree and a mountain, and you're like, fuck, where's this? That's way more fun for me than going, all right, what can I read?
So how does it work? Because I've only watched competitive. I watched the grand final of some event.
Oh, they
and
get
the
really
first
excited
round,
about it. Yeah.
Oh my god, it was an unbelievable battle.
I watched that one.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I watched that one.
MK versus Rudy.
Yeah,
C
and
or some shit.
Rainbolt was actually, who's a very famous GeoGuessr streamer. He was commentating the event. It was great.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, they knew a lot about it, which gave me a lot of context, which helped. Round one, you could move, and you could move around. So once you start,
Yeah,
you
you
can
click
like
around
walk,
and you
click around
street
like you're
view,
on Google
street
Maps.
view.
Yeah. And what was fascinating is the guy who's up against MK. He knows that the Rudy's, I think his name was Rudy anyway. his strength is being able to read different languages, and once you give him some information,
he's all over you. Yeah.
He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So MK, as soon as he gets a sense of what it is, he just insta-locks the country to start the countdown.
Yeah,
so
otherwise you give
Rudy
him too much time to read.
Yeah. And if you give him time, it's just gonna.
And you could
up.
similarly have a guy who's like really good at geography, like more like landscapes and stuff. Like maybe he can tell from trees. He goes, oh, that's only deciduous. The amount of times you'll get South Africa confused for Australia is plentiful because of it's the same latitudinal line. Similar with New Zealand. New Zealand even worse because New Zealand, everything feels like, you know, Australia anyway. They're so close to us. We're close cousins. It feels similar. I mean, yeah, if you saw something that is quintessentially a city that you know, like if you know what the buses look like in Melbourne, or you know what the buses look like in Perth, then you can go bang. Broome
came up in this final, I didn't even I didn't recognize it
It
immediately.
was Australia though.
Yeah. I was like, pretty quick. I saw a Ray White sign. I was like, holy moly! I was like freaking out. One guy put Darwin, and one put Broome. That was actually a big difference. That's the only time they weren't like spot on top of each other.
Australia would be a bit of a decider in some cases because it's so big. There's 6,000 kilometers across, or more. So what you've got is if someone picks Sydney and the answer's in Perth, that's a 7,000 problem. And if you just picked the wrong side of Croatia and you're actually meant to be in the northeast side of Croatia, you're going to be off by about 700 k's. It's nothing. So, but in Australia, you can really fuck up. So I imagine Australia is a bit of an equalizer in those big events because it could fuck some people up.
But really, you could say that about a lot of places like Russia. It's so huge.
Brazil, Russia, they're the big ones. Yeah. But
One-
there's not a lot of
one
roads
guy-
in Russia outside. If you're going into like the Siberia, if the further east you go, the less sparse the road network is. So realistically, it's about road meterage. And if you want to go with road meterage, the most covered area of the planet is Europe. Europe is covered in roads. And so is America. You'd be surprised at how many dead patches they have in America. The answer is not that many. In Australia, we've got like 4 roads that go through the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you do about those, right? What do you do? Yeah, so first round was you could move.
Yeah.
And the guy who was the specialist at moving had a flawless round. Didn't concede a thing. And the MK just slowly died. And then round 2, where you can't move around the street, but you can look around where you're standing.
Oh, you can pivot.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, you can pivot. You can do a 360. Yeah.
MK was getting destroyed again, and then like the damage doubles and triples and quadruples.
Yes.
Over time, it got to like 5 times, and the MK locked in Lithuania, and the other guy thought it was some other Eastern European country, pretty far away again, and he just got wiped out from one error. Yeah,
one error. That's the other thing that can get you sometimes is sometimes you'll be looking for a web address because if it says .it, you know it's Italy. If it says .com.au, you know it's Australia. If it says .nz...
Where do you find... Oh, so you're looking for an email address on an advertisement?
A website. A website. Not an email, but a website.
Yeah, okay.
I can have a Gmail account. It's not, But if it has the .il or .it or whatever it would be for Italy, then you know you're in Italy and you can start like honing in. I tend to lock in really early. I like giving the other person no time. Once I've got a semblance of where it is, I just go for it. I don't spend a lot of time trying to find the exact spot. Although we did get one in Perth recently and we had a real crack at it because we were like, oh, come on, guys. Like, we're all here. We're all working together here. Like, come on, we should be able to nail this. And we ended up being like a couple of suburbs off. It was your way. It was down your way.
Yeah, okay. And what do you mean you were playing with other people? So you had multiple people.
I was just streaming it on Discord, like to my mates. Because I was just,
and who were you
just
playing?
In between games. We're just playing on the internet against people.
Yeah. Oh, against randoms.
Yeah, so it's probably not okay to have like a brains trust, but we had a brains trust. They weren't Googling or anything, but we had a brains trust.
Yeah, sure. We got down to a sudden death tiebreaker, round 5, between these two guys for the World Championship. And what they do in round 5, if it gets there, is the screen, you just get one screen, one view. You can't pivot, you can't walk down the street.
That's what I want. That's way better. Way more equal.
It's just this like you're saying, it's just a tree, and now you got two guys just being like, where in the world is this tree?
Yeah. let's get the
as
fucking
well.
tree. Yeah, it's great.
And they'll be on top of each other.
I love
as
it.
well.
Yeah, I love it.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, you get that happen to you when you play as well. Like if you're playing around people of your skill level, you'll often find that people are picking up on the same hints as you. Let's say it's in the Netherlands, right? Let's say let's say there's a very obvious clue in our opening area that we are in the Netherlands. Okay, so where are you going to put it? Like, how many cities do you know in the Netherlands? Two.
Amsterdam.
There's
I'm
like
putting
two.
it northern
Exactly.
Amsterdam.
So the issue becomes is that no one's willing to go out on a limb and say it's this tiny little hamlet out here, because why would you do that? The 90% of the road infrastructure is in one place. You'd be an idiot to put it over there, but it's probably right sometimes. But the fact of the matter is that you see these patterns in the players where they're all just going, oh yeah, that's got to be middle of Amsterdam, blam, you know, like that's sort of you see that happen in regular play, is what I'm saying. So I'm not surprised at the top level. It's the same as those memory guys at the top level. They're just the best. They're just scary.
Yeah.
I've seen Rainbolt on his streams go like and find the tree. You know what I mean? Do that whole thing where he's like, I think it's around here somewhere, and just zoom in and click on the map, and then it's like, yeah, I'm 100 meters away. So like he does. Has he traversed
the whole world? Yeah.
Look, there's a certain element of it of how many games can you play in 8 hours. If you played GeoGuessr for 8 straight hours, by the end of the first day, you will be a better GeoGuessr, okay? By the end of the second day, you're going to be even better. If you did that for a whole month, you would shock other people at how good you are at guessing shit around the world, because it is just a skill that you learn. And here's the actual nugget, right? It's a fucking game. And games can be learnt and beaten. Meaning, some people don't even look at the trees or the street signs. They'll just go like, oh, what's the road? Let's have a look at the road. What kind of condition is it? Oh yeah, lock it in. I know where this is. This is Senegal, you know? And that just comes with time. That's just beating the game. You know what I mean? Me and my little bro, when we were growing up, we'd play NHL games. We've never skated on ice in our whole lives. We don't know the strategy of playing NHL. What we knew how to do back then was beat the game. We knew where we had to pass it to at the right time to hit it here, and we get goals. That's what we do. We weren't learning ice hockey. We have no idea how that all works. We know how to beat games.
Yes. Yeah.
Into submission.
Learn by doing. Learn by failing.
Yeah, learn by failing.
And you just hope that the game translates to what it's like in real life, that you are playing ice hockey.
I think everyone gets it in their heads that if they get like good at something like a racing game, they're like, man, I could probably get into an F1 car and zip around. I'll probably give it a fair crack. But no, you can't do that. No.
Well, Mars has been completely mapped, so you could do GeoGuessr with Mars, but no one would be very good at it.
I was playing Grand Theft Auto 5 GeoGuessr.
Wow.
So it just uses photos.
You would dominate that.
No. It's actually pretty hard. I mean, yes, I've spent 12 years in the city, and it's not that big. It's only a 15 square kilometer area.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, you can play GeoGuessr with Grand Theft Auto 5 locations, and it's kind of fun. It's kind of hilarious. If you didn't pay your GeoGuessr subscription and you played a bit of GTA, it might be an alternative. You know?
So how do you play GeoGuessr? Is it a Steam game?
I've got it on Steam, and I pay a subscription to play it online properly. You could probably get a couple of games in a day for you'd probably get a fair few in. You just can't rise the ranks. So yeah, you should install it on Steam and have a crack, because it's good fun. It is good fun. It's just a brain puzzle game, right?
Yeah. But also what I like about it is there's actually connection to the real world. I kind of like that. Like I feel like I'm learning. Sometimes I can't read fantasy books. I used to have trouble reading fantasy books because they weren't. There was nothing real about it. Like I have trouble relating to it if it's not real. But I've gotten better. I read lots of fantasy books now, and I can get around other things. But that was my mentality.
I mean, I don't read books, but fantasy shows in general, I was very resistant to because I just found them to be a bit childish, to be honest. But it took our mate telling me that Game of Thrones is like legit and it's fantasy. It's like high fantasy. And I was like, what is high fantasy? He's like, man, it's just
dragons, magic.
Yeah, it's dragons, it's magic. But it's also fuck, shit, and blood and guts. And I was like, well, I'm sold. You know, you've got me. Just so happened to be a pretty good show as well, even though it went to absolute garbage. Happens.
You know, do you remember when Tony Hawk landed that first 900?
I don't remember it, no. But I remember landing
You
my
would have
first
seen it.
900 in Tony Hawk,
Yeah.
and that was pretty epic. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've seen the video recently,
Oh, yeah.
and I'd seen it before.
Of the
It was
child.
a pretty big deal. Well, yeah, no, there's a kid. That's what made me watch the Tony Hawk one, because Tony Hawk was commentating a 9-year-old the other day
Yeah.
that did 3 consecutive 900s.
I did bring this up on the show to you, but maybe you forgot. But yes, yes, we did talk about this kid. What a psycho. Let's start with that.
What?
Let's start with that. How old was he? 9?
9.
Yeah. This is the problem, man. I think we talked about it to the extent that, like, soon
We've
you'll...
gotten too good.
No, but soon there'll be the first 3-year-old to do a 3 consecutive 900. No one's ever done it before. He's the first 3-year-old to ever do it. It's wild. But, like, you would have thought 9 was too young, right? To learn the skateboarding enough to do a 900, right? You would have thought 9's too young.
Yeah. If Tony Hawk could only pull one off not so long ago.
It makes not only the act itself of a 900 not that impressive, because it can only take you a maximum of 4 or 5 years to learn, right? That's it. It cheapens it. Because I was under the impression that Tony
Children
Hawk
are
was
superheroes,
trying to
though.
do shit for 25 years and then he did it, right? Because he worked on it for 25 years. No. It turns out it's just like a kid can do it after a few
It makes you
years.
realize how powerful and how superhuman children are.
I agree.
I know children that pick up multiple languages without even trying. My childhood was wasted.
Yeah,
Really.
No. Okay, so what you're describing there is that notion that people talk about, where like the sponge mind, right? Yeah.
The plasticity.
So what it is, in my opinion, is the willingness and the ability to learn, right? And it's a trained muscle. So when you're young, that learning muscle is constantly being stretched because you have to learn everything. There's so much learning going on. So that muscle of being able to learn is strong. And as you get older, you get a bit more, I don't really care about that. I don't want to do that. We lose our willingness to learn. And that's what we're
agree
jealous
with that.
of. That's what we're jealous
I agree
of with
with
the
that.
kids.
But there is also a neural plasticity element of the young brain as well. As it's developing,
yeah.
it's far more
Totally.
active
Totally.
and
It
able
has
to
to be.
develop new. So it's both. I think, like, I agree that it is a learning muscle, but they also have the hardware is actually built to learn at that point.
We might disagree then, because I just think that over time, meaning as you get older, pretty much as soon as you leave school, that muscle just doesn't get worked on as much. I'm not talking about the muscles that learn things. I'm talking about the muscle that learns to learn, the one that is very much engaged with that learning anything. It's not one thing. It's, you could throw anything at them and they'll learn it quicker because they have a willingness. It's and it's biochemistry.
But I have a willingness now.
Yes.
I read a lot of stuff,
Yes.
things
Yes.
just they're not retained as easy.
Okay, I'm gonna introduce
learning a language.
I'm gonna
I find
introduce just a different.
impossibly difficult.
I'm gonna introduce an element that the kids don't have to deal with. Okay, this is a reason why they can learn this stuff. They don't have a job. Okay, they don't have any responsibilities at all. Like, they don't have any. Okay, how much time and energy is spent on these two things? A lot more than we would like, is the short answer most of the time. I just think we don't have the time, quote unquote, even though we have shitloads of time and technology has freed us up. And you can get it back. I think you can get it back. I think anyone can get it back. I think that anyone who's saying, that's just for kids. Kids are good at picking stuff up. That doesn't happen anymore. They've just completely given up on that muscle. And I don't think that's... I think it's easily buildable again.
Yeah, it's hilarious how quickly kids pick up languages. It's literally just unbelievable. They'll speak with the right accent. They're not even trying to learn it. I know adults that are going to the language classes in that particular country and they're not even near fluent. they're speaking broken Turkish.
Again, I don't
this
think it's
example.
fair. I don't. Usually, I'd say it's unfair on the other end that the kids have no chance in this. So if we were doing like a
But the
basketball
adult-
comp, I'm going to smash them. I'm going to absolutely smash these kids. If we're
But
playing
one of the
basketball.
difference is the adult is following a structured learning
Yeah.
regime.
I don't think that is
the
the difference.
child is just picking it up without even trying. They don't even know what they're doing.
I think
How unbelievable is that?
I think the difference is the old mate sitting in the class trying to learn, and he's like, "Fuck, I really need to learn this," but he's got other shit going on. I think that's the problem, is that he actually can't. He's like, "I just can't pick up this language," and it's like, I just think he's got other stuff going on, and that's fine, forgivable.
Yeah. I think it's a neuroplasticity issue, but it could be a lot of things.
But couldn't we
It's a
keep it
combination
more
of things.
plastic? Like, as in, if we don't,
That would be nice,
Well,
wouldn't it?
no, I think that's possible. I think that the way that society currently works, where you go to school for the first 12 years and then university for another 4, and then into the workforce, I don't think that is conducive with this plasticity that I would like to retain. Okay, I don't think that works with that. I think school, I think uni, I think it's all geared towards becoming a worker, which is not a learner. It's a worker does, not a worker thinks. So,
I'm actually quite lucky in my job. It's constant learning. I'm learning a lot, but I just have trouble implementing it. I do a lot of. I have to constantly learn about different.
I'm
things,
throwing a
which
lot
is
of
good.
shit on the wall. I don't know if any of it sticks, but I throw a lot of shit on the wall. Like I put a lot of info into this thing. I don't know if any of it's getting in, and staying there and retaining it.
Yeah.
But I'm not shut off.
You're pretty good at retaining lots of things. I'm impressed with your memory.
It depends on
actually.
what it is. If it's something that interests me, I'm all over it.
Media related. Yeah. You got that neuroplasticity when you want it.
Yeah, it's a sickness. It's a disease. That is what we came here to do today. So we will be back doing this again next time. Nate, it's been a pleasure.
Always.
Rock and roll. We'll see you next time.
See ya.